If you like to talk about combat sports and you want to join the discussion, click the subscribe button below and the bell notification icon next to it and join Knucklehead Nation. Ladies and gentlemen of Knucklehead Nation, welcome to our interview with combat sports legend Chris Leben. Chris, thank you so much, my man, for joining the chat with me here. I really
Of course.
appreciate you, man.
Thanks for having me.
Chris, you've been in the game for such a long time, man. And it's almost like you don't want to get out of the game. You want to be in the game in any way that you can. And it's gotten to the point where I see you refereeing. You've commentated for us in the past. You really are in love with the fight game. You know, where does this love for the fight game come from?
That's very true. I mean, I really like everything that has to do with combat sports. I like, and my goal honestly is to try to be involved in every part of the sport, in every way that I can, and slowly but surely I'm doing that. I haven't had my own promotion yet, but I'm sure down the road we'll get there, and then I think I'll have covered most of the bases. But I mean, fighting is what I do. It's what I love. It's what I've dedicated my life to, and any way that I can be involved, I love that.
When did you figure out fighting was kind of your calling in life?
It happened pretty quick, actually. Once I started way back, ancient history, when I started at Team Quest, 18 or 20 years ago, I remember every day I would come in the gym and I'd ask my coach, Robert Foss, hey, did you get me a fight yet? Did you get me a fight? After only been training, a month or so. And he kept telling me, no, you got to train. And eventually, I had that first fight. And, for me, that was the turning point. As soon as I had that first fight and I got that win and I got that feeling of what that is like, I was hooked. I was hooked, and that was it.
Yeah. Your style is a lot of people that are boxing fans would probably say your style is very Mexican style, You come forward, you're hard as nails, you're not afraid to take one or even multiple to land your own. Where'd that style come from? Where'd that personality come from?
That's an interesting question. I believe it or not, I started out skateboarding. It was my first sport, and I kind of skateboard the same way. I'm either gonna land the trick or I'm gonna die trying. It's kind of always been. I'm a little bit of a charger in skateboard terminology, and when it comes to fighting, I'm a little bit of a charger. And I think that's we have to use the attributes that we have to make up for the attributes that we don't have. And I'm probably not, let's be honest, the most explosive or most athletic guy in the world, but I got a big head, I got big hands, I'm not scared to get hit, and I've made that work for me over the years.
Yeah. You grew up or you were born in Oregon, right? But at some point you got to Hawaii. I mean, how'd that all happen, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, yeah, born and raised in Portland, Oregon. Started at Team Quest, spent 5 years there. Went up to Seattle, trained for almost 2 years with Matt Hume, and then from there I moved to Hawaii. Matt got me a job running Icon Sport Gym in Hawaii. I moved over there, and I was there for 10 years. Loved it.
Yeah. And right now, are you located in San Diego? Is that where you're based out of right now?
I am. Yeah. I'm about a block from the beach here, so I can't complain.
Very nice, my man. The arena, that's your gym. I mean, what's your involvement there? Are you owner? Are you coaching? Are you, you're still training? What is it you're doing there right now?
I think, sometimes it confuses people because I say, the arena, my gym. I always say that, and it's because I feel that way. I'm not the owner. Technically, I guess I'm just a coach, but I've been there almost 5 years now. We're a family. Obviously, I'm biased, but I think we're the best gym in California, probably the nation. We've got a ton of competitive boxers. We've got a huge jiu-jitsu team. We've got, a huge fight team. Just we had a show here in San Diego. We had 8 guys on the card on
Wow.
Friday.
Wow.
And that's just a regular weekend for us. Um, so I've been there for 5 years. It's a big family. Everybody, all the coaches, get along, which is rare for a gym, I'm sure, as you know.
Yeah.
So it's awesome.
Well, we're actually having a card on September 21st. I guess me and you will talk about that later. Would love to get some of the guys on the arena on that card. All striking. I think it's something you'd really appreciate. But after a very successful MMA career, you went into bare knuckle boxing. And I'm sure a lot of people were kind of maybe trying to change your mind about that. What are some of the criticisms, some of the pros, some of the cons you got going into that?
They still are. And my good friend. I have a lot of my friends that I have been my friends for 15 years, 20 years. And I get it. We're like family. They care about me. They know that with my job and stuff, I can support my family. I don't necessarily need to fight. So they're like, just do your thing. You're doing great. Why are you putting your body at risk? Um, and because I appreciate them for that. But the thing is, they don't get it. They're not fighters. They don't understand. After everything I've been through in my life, I feel better now than I ever have. Um, you know, I went out. I had 2 first round knockouts against tough opponents. And I think you could see more of that from me. I really think that I've got some more great fights left in me. I enjoy it. My last fight was a 5 round war. Um, and I mean, it was painful. I'm not gonna lie, but that's what the fans love to see. And honestly, looking back, I'm glad it happened like that. You don't
Uh,
want all quick wins. Sometimes there's nothing better than having a full length war and knowing that you slugged it out all the way to the bitter end. You know, um, I'm a fighter at heart. It's what I love to do, and I can still do it, and I think do it at a high level. You know, I was more concerned with making this comeback and you know, getting slept real quick, or like we've seen guys, make a comeback and they go out, they get knocked out in the first round, they get knocked out again, and you go, oh man, he's old, he's slowed down, but I don't think anybody's saying that about me. I think anybody that looks at my fights goes, he looks sharper than he ever has.
yeah, I mean, I think you looked great. I do think you looked great, especially in those fights where you got the knockdown, and even in that war, you looked great. It's just such a rough sport. I'm sure. Like, do you feel like the consequences are more when somebody lands a clean shot and it's harder to recover from than it was when you were in the octagon? Or I mean, what's
Well, I
sort of the
mean,
difference?
with the lack of gloves, yes, absolutely. You can't take shots like you can in boxing, kickboxing, or even MMA. You know, um, no gloves makes a big difference. It doesn't matter how much of a hit you can take, you're going to get cut open. And then that blood is going to get in your eye. It's going to blind you. It's going to slow you down. It's going to affect the tempo of the fight. I don't care how tough you are. So absolutely, there has to be some adjustments made when you're preparing for a bare knuckle fight that you wouldn't necessarily have to do in kickboxing or MMA. That being said, when it comes to combat sports, I'm a little bit of a purist. I always want to know, like, if this was as real as if this is truly as real as it gets, what would really happen? I think that there's a lot of things. There's certain things about the sport that I definitely would change, to make it more realistic. And I think, the no gloves for sure. I mean, if you ever have to defend yourself on your own, that's going to be the situation. Very, very slim chance you're going to be able to throw on some gloves before you get in a street fight.
Right. Um, so the hands, how do the hands feel during the fight? Do you feel like you got to kind of dial your power back a little bit? How do the hands hold up during the fight?
I've heard people say that, but the bottom line is you're in a fist fight. It's relatively hard to punch at 70% and not 100. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
they're hitting you, you're hitting them. Um, that being said, you really got to work on your placement. Where you're striking, you can adjust. That's important. Make sure you're hitting them in the face and not the top of the head. That's important. And then where on your hands you're hitting. Make sure you're hitting with those big knuckles, not with the little ones, because you're definitely
Right,
going to
right,
break the little ones.
right. And I mean, you haven't broken your hand. You haven't had any issues with it during the bare knuckle part of your career so far.
No, I broke my hand a bunch of times.
I see. I
I
see.
broke my hand a
Okay.
bunch of times in MMA, and so far in bare knuckle they've been pretty good. I hit Baroni with an overhand, and I hit him on top of the head, and it definitely damaged my knuckle. But now actually it's bigger than it's ever been. You can see that middle one's kind of giant. So I
Yeah,
think actually
yeah.
now it's better than new.
Yeah.
Kind of excited to hit somebody with it now. But
You've got knuckles like the Thing from the Fantastic Four at this point, my man. That was a fantastic knockout, by the way. We actually posted that on the Fighters Rep Instagram page. We were extremely proud of you, of course, because you have commentated before for us, and we'd
mhm.
love to have you back. And actually, your commentary is rather insightful. I mean, is that a career path you've also thought about? We'd love to continue doing that with you.
Well, I mean, I'd love to continue doing it with you, and where that leads. Hopefully your show gets bigger and bigger, and I can stay on with you guys, and maybe eventually some bigger shows pick me up too. That would be wonderful. But you know how it is, man. You got to do. In this industry, you just do as much as you can, and you hope something sticks.
Yeah, yeah. That's totally true. That's totally true. I wanted to say I may be wrong about this, but the feeling I'm getting, the vibe I'm getting is the bare knuckle career is going to continue. So I mean, it sounds like you're going to continue fighting in the bare knuckle sport. Is that correct?
Yeah, we definitely one more.
Yeah.
Right now I'm taking it one fight at a time. You know, and it looks like I'm going to fight again. And so we'll getting ready to start training camp here shortly, and yeah, then we'll see how this one goes, and then like always, reevaluate afterward.
Do you have an opponent, or do you know around what time of the year this is going to be happening?
Tentatively, they're talking about November 23rd.
Okay.
So no opponent yet, and they haven't confirmed the location, but it's looking like November 23rd.
That sounds awesome, my man. 39 years old, but you look young and you're still fighting young.
Well, thank you.
Um, yeah, man. Last night we had another guy, even a little bit older than you in DC, go in there and go to war with Stipe. He came out on the losing end, but he's starting to talk about retirement more and more, and it looks like that might be a viable option for him. Until what age do you think, if you got to put a number on it, until what age do you think Chris Lieben's going to keep fighting?
That's a tough one. I mean, I'm not going to be one of these guys. I'm not going to be Frank Shamrock. I'm not going to be in there when I'm 50 something, still doing it. But as long as I feel that I'm competitive and I'm a threat, then yeah, I'll stay after it.
And despite the 39 years of age, I mean, I know you've sort of cleaned up, I guess you can say, and your life seems a lot more stable than it used to be. Do you feel like now physically you're as good as you were at your prime, or how are you feeling physically?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, in my 20s, when you're supposed to be at your prime, I definitely was not at my prime. I
Right.
was there. There was a lot of external factors, that were affecting my performance. And now with the family and the clean lifestyle, I truly do feel like I'm performing better than I ever have. And I mean, sometimes I go, man, what if I would have done this when I was in my 20s, But then I think, hey, you know what? You're doing it now. You feel good now. You have a chance to kind of reinvent yourself. So just enjoy the ride.
Chris, man, thank you so much for your time. We're going on close to 20 minutes here. I could probably talk to you all day. I got so many questions for you. Is there anything you want to say to the people out there that are going to be watching this, and what can people expect from you in your next fight?
No, just thank all the people that support me. Thank you, and look for me in my next bare knuckle fight. And if anybody wants to train, I'm at the arena. They can come down and get a private lesson or jump into a class.
Awesome. Hey, Chris, thank you so much. Chris the Crippler Leben, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you,
Awesome.
brother.
All right, thank you, man. Have a good one.
Click the link below for your official Fighters Rep merchandise and join Knucklehead Nation.